There we go.
There we go.
Well, thank you all for coming. I've been really looking forward to this day, which is kind of a culmination of many, many years' work. Museums today face a dual challenge: fulfilling their public mission as outlined by ICANN, while sustaining themselves financially in a competitive neoliberal cultural economy, where people are seen as market actors and forcing museums to operate as attractions, generating many visitors and proving to be useful through solving social challenges in society. I wonder, can museums resist commodification while empowering citizens as creative, critical co-authors of culture? Can museums make projects with the participation of communities for enjoyment, reflection, and knowledge sharing for both the participants and large numbers of visitors at the same time? If museums do solve social challenges, what is so special about the Art Museum? Trapholt has navigated through neoliberal times by creating participatory projects that combine civic engagement with visual appealing artworks, offering deep, lasting experiences for both participants and visitors, keeping in mind that all projects have dual participants: the participant contributors and the visitors, or you could call them spectators. Because which citizens are we talking about? To be precise, I will talk about people as citizens, participants as contributors, and visitors as spectators. Museums are in the service of citizens in a democratic society, and not just market actors, consumers. Contributor stresses that the participants are active agents with assets which are acknowledged and appreciated as an essential part, not passive clients with deficits needing the museum to help. Visitors are not passive spectators in need to be activated, but rather with concierge, already active, interpreting, translating, and making sense of what they see based on their own life experiences and knowledge. In this paper, I suggest that art museums have a unique potential to become arenas where people can help themselves build their own capabilities. Through participatory sense-making and resonance, where meaning emerges relationally through interaction with others in spaces and with matter. First, I will introduce how the practice of collaborative art has emerged at Trapholt and the lessons learned. Secondly, I will introduce how the projects respond to the neoliberal cultural political demands. And thirdly, I'll discuss how using participatory sense-making and resonance theory may explain how capability building can take place through collaborative art. In 2014, I was curator at Denmark's National Culture Summit, where textile artist Isabel Berlin made the House of Stitches and invited local residents to knit a house in the town square. This symbolic gesture allowed them to reclaim ownership of an event many felt very excluded from. The project's strong community impact inspired me to explore how similar participatory practices could be integrated into the museum context. So from this, we really learned a very big importance of people's own agency, because they were not included in that summit in the first place, but all of a sudden they could contribute. Building on this success, Trapholt invited Berglund to lead Monument of Masks, a really ready-styled knitting project involving citizens from 6 towns in southern Denmark. Over 700 contributors took part in this project. Though the project was a public success, it exposed challenges around managing expectations, clarifying roles, and sustaining coordination among the artist, museum, and partners. Because this was funded by external funding, so we had an external project manager and so forth, so it was not inside the museum. We learned from this project that the Facebook community was really important and had a lot of potential. But we also learned that we needed a clear framework to make participatory practices sustainable, within the museum setting. Now, soon after, Trapholt's Waste Time project was launched amid a growing immigration tension in Denmark, aiming to build connection between local citizens and newly arrived Syrian refugees through shared meals and collaborative art across 7 towns. Led by artist Anne Franke, Syrian hosted dinners using donated Danish tableware by the Danish participants, which all participants decorated with blue doodles on themes like home and waste, reversing traditional social roles. The project expanded unexpectedly as contributors began embroidering doodle patterns into personal linens, generating 400 contributions for the final installation. Trapholt struggled to fulfill the potentials of this initiative due to the organizational difficulties. Learning again from this was people's agency is really, really important. But also, we really needed a clear framework to make the participatory practices sustainable in the museum setting. Following the Waste Time, Trapholt launched instead a more structured collaborative project in partnership with furniture artist Rasmus Fix and amateur woodturners. With simple creative guidelines, participants produced over 1,200 unique wooden sticks. This time the project was better integrated into the museum. An internal project manager, Nina, ensured smoother collaboration and stronger contributor support. Nationwide clubs, workshops, and a Facebook group engaged hobbyists and emphasized the value of craft. We had some learnings from this project. It made a turning point for us because it was very clear that there was a one-to-one interdependency between the contributor's craft and the artist's concept, because the artist could never have done that many different wood turnings without the contributions by the contributors. He said, I could have made 20, but I could never have done this variation for the installation. It also revealed a new need, that we needed a systematic purpose with our projects, a theoretical framing and evaluation. In 2020, Trapholt launched Stitches Beyond Borders to mark Southern Jutland's reunification with Denmark. Trapholt wanted to make the reunification relevant today and invited people to reflect on borders rather than on the concrete historical event. Drawing on intrinsic motivation theory, the project valued contributors' assets with embroidery competence and lived experiences, while also aiming to create circumstances for people to develop 21st century skills like creativity, collaboration, and critical thinking. The project engaged 718 contributors through 10 national hubs, a Facebook group, talks and workshops, invited embroidering reflections on personal, historical, and political borders. Efforts to include refugees communities fell short due to limited partner capacity, unfortunately. A missed opportunity, you could say. An academic evaluation by Birgit Eriksson showed that the project prompted creativity and reflection, and Facebook fostered an imagined community. Yet the tone remained emotionally cohesive by politically muted, or what you could call harmless feminine publics. And in-person events lacked deeper dialogue. Stitches Beyond Borders was well received by visitors, recognized by the Danish Art Foundation, and awarded, and it shaped our future projects. As Stitches Beyond Borders ended and Denmark entered COVID lockdown, Trapholt launched Light Hope, a rapid response art project to maintain public connection and well-being. Developed in 3 weeks by artists Rasmus Fix and Henneke, the project invited citizens to crochet light bulb-shaped pairs in soft tones. Almost 1,000 participated, resulting in 70-meter long pergola installed in Trapholt as a participatory sense-making and emotional expression in times of confusion. Digital platforms like Zoom, Facebook enabled online workshops, live streams, and community support, transforming isolating into mediated togetherness. Volunteers organized local material exchanges and drop-offs all over the country. Though no formal evaluation was conducted, Trapholt showed that Trapholt had a method that could act as a community anchor in crisis. Both contributors and spectators expressed high emotional responses to the project and the exhibition. The project highlighted both the potential of rapid creative engagement and the need for more systematic research to support long-term institutional learning and inclusion. Building on past successes and Birgit's findings and Birgit and Tina's findings on creativity and community, Trapholt launched Among the Trees, a nationwide quilt project linking personal connection to nature with the climate crisis. Unlike earlier reactive efforts, this project marked a strategic move to embed participatory craft into museum practice and address societal important subjects, the climate crisis. Adapted for lockdown, over 500 joined the online launch, 300 attended live dye workshops from the House of the Artist, and 300 joined a national virtual forest bathing workshop. And a Facebook group of 1,400 supported ongoing sharing with weekly Zoom sessions led by artist Tina Ratze. Contributors each created a quilt block shaped like a meaningful tree leaf, paired with a personal story, combining craft and collective storytelling to visualize ties to biodiversity. Evaluation showed strong impact. And you can just see the impact numbers there. With these data, we could deliver very concrete KPIs on social relevance into the neoliberal discourse. But we were wondering, could we get any deeper? Was this really as far as we could get, just delivering numbers for our stakeholders? So we applied for funding to do the research project, which we have been conducting over the last 3-4 years. The first project is the Data Mirror. Data Mirror marked the first of two large-scale collaborative art projects funded by the Velux Foundation, aiming to explore the museum as a relational space through people, materials, and societal themes. Building on the findings of Birgit and Tina, Trapholt sought to expand inclusion and engage contributors in social relevant topics, notably digital data, a theme far from traditional craft comfort zones. Textile artist Astrid Skibsted created a structured creative process. Contributors downloaded their personal Facebook and Google data, which was transformed into abstract visual patterns using an algorithm. These were then embroidered following creative dogmas. Acknowledging critiques of earlier projects that reinforced a harmless feminine public, Data Mirror deliberately introduced friction, merging a gendered medium like embroidery with a male-dominated technical topic like data. This challenged expectations around both content and audience, offering what Erickson calls a deficit to asset shift, from where engagement through familiar crafts with an unfamiliar topic became a path to engagement. The organizational structure was the most complex to date, involving a national network of partners, dedicated group, and dedicated project manager, Nina again of course, weekly Zoom sessions, and an active Facebook group. Trapholt's second Velux Foundation funded collaborative art project is Things Matter. Was led by textile artist Randy Samsonson, included 278 citizens who critically engaged with public sculptures across Denmark. Inspired by Etienne Wenger's situated learning theory, contributors reflected on monuments in their everyday environments. Each contributor knitted a miniature version of a sculpture using royal blue yarn and added modifications in purple, expressing what they felt could or should be different. The project emphasized dialogic and agonistic participation, fostering multiple perspectives on public art. Contributors' contributions ranged from humorous to politically critical, especially addressing gender imbalances in public monuments. Many works aimed to soften or feminize dominant masculine expressions using the tactile symbolic power of knitting. And actually on Wednesday it will receive the Danish Critics Awards for the 24 years art event. I've already introduced time, so I'll go by that and go into which impact it had on the contributors. Because we did a survey, and they did, in Data Mirror, the 630 contributors reflected on abstract issues like surveillance, privacy, and identity. The outcomes were significant. Critical engagement, which was one of our ambitions. Interest in digital data rose sharply. Those finding it very interesting increased from 20 to 43. 62% reported gaining new knowledge, showing the project's success in making a complex topic personally relevant. I'll just very quickly go through this because it will take too much time to go into it, but we could also see that they felt creative in the Data Mirror, more creative agency. They had conversations, 70% reported strong sense of community and had meaningful conversations with others. Well-being, autonomy, they would feel valued, being able to control their own level of engagement. The same thing with, we went through with Things Matter, also doing an evaluation on our ambitions like critical thinking, majority engaged in research and conceptual development. The processes fostered deep reflections on the meaning and context of monuments, encouraging contributors to rethink historical narratives. Creativity and expression, 96 found the project inspiring and they felt they could express themselves freely. Also again with community and communication, they felt, 77 felt engaged in informal conversations sparked by the project. So how did the spectators then receive the projects? Because that is a part of it. How is it received? Because these are not only projects for the participants, it is displayed for 1 year at the museum. Well, visitor surveys show that most guests are drawn to Trapholt's blockbuster exhibitions. In 23, only 19% came specifically to see Data Mirror. And in 24, just 13% for Things Matter. This indicates that participatory works are often discovered incidentally. A worry we had is, do people see it as art? Is this valuable to look at, or is it something that some people have done in the local community? And we could see in our findings that spectators did find the works valuable. 20 to 28% didn't even notice it was co-created. And only 6 to 8% found it less valuable because it was co-created. Though no headline attraction, these projects had a strong impact. Things Matter prompted 67% to reflect on public monuments and 58% to discuss the topic with others. These are the spectators. Data Mirror led 49% to reflect on digital identity, and 58% also talked about the works afterwards. So you could say that the KPIs for engagements, though neither Data Mirror nor Things Matter were the main attractions for visitors, both were widely experienced and positively received. Many visitors encountered them incidentally. There are KPIs for the engagement, but is this the whole story? This is the question I have. And for this, I would like to introduce can we understand the projects as a kind of capability building processes? I will discuss this with the theories of participatory sense-making and resonance. Participatory sense-making, as introduced by Hans de Jager and Israel de Paulo, invites us to understand participation as a relational and emergent practice of shared understanding. It reframes social cognition and dynamics and co-regulated, emphasizing that understanding, empathy, and collaboration are not internal or isolated events, but relational achievements, arising between people, materials, and environments through interaction. At the core of the theory is the enactive view of cognition, which holds that people make sense of the world by engaging with it, not as detached observers, but as embodied agents embedded in sensory in sensory, motor, and social contexts. Participatory sense-making extends beyond human interaction to include relationships with objects and materials. In participatory art projects, materials like embroidery, thread, fabric, and wood act as mediators. Though not agents themselves, they shape and influence how people engage, enabling embodied meaning-making. Data mirror and things matter exemplify this theory in practice. Both were grounded in shared intentions. 81% of participants in each were motivated by the interest in craft and the desire to contribute to a collaborative output. Significant proportions of participants also reported engaging in conversations with others, indicating the presence of co-regulated social interaction. There seems to be an inverse relation between the interest in subject and the inspiration by materials. You can see that the interest in the data and public art, and then the materials. This could be interesting to look into. Tactile and sensory engagement with materials further supported sense-making. In Data Mirror, 73 of the participants reported being inspired by the materials, and 57 experienced idea development through making. While these figures were low in things matter, they still suggest that materiality influenced participants' creative thinking. A clear indicator of participatory sense-making is the emergence of new understanding through action. 96% of Things Matter participants researched in public art, while 74% of Data Mirror participants engaged in drawing and conceptualizing, demonstrating active co-construction of meaning. The most significant action is, though, the time, care, and quality of the contributions to the projects. This embodied and interactive approach to meaning-making aligns closely. No, you can see the two different ones, and here you can see how a contributor has come from a sculpture, and then she's turned it into a sculpture giving birth to a child. This embodied and interactive approach to meaning-making aligns closely with Hartmut Rosa's theory of resonance, which offers a broader philosophical framework to understand the transformative potential of participatory cultural practice. Rosa describes resonance as responsive, affective, and mutual relationship with the world, an encounter which something, a person, idea, or object speaks back, and the individual is moved to respond. Such experiences are inherently unpredictable and require openness, attentiveness, and time. I will argue that when applied to museum practice, Rosa's resonance complements participatory sense-making by emphasizing the affective and ethical depth of shared engagement. In projects like Data Mirror and Things Matter, contributors and spectators alike enter into resonant relationships with materials, with each other, and with the broader cultural questions posed. These are not transactional encounters, they are transformational spaces where both individuals and artworks are changed through the process. Craft-based activities can offer particularly fertile ground for resonance. Materials invite response, stitching, carving, and embroidering become ways to enter into dialogue with memory, identity, and place. Rosa's idea that the world response is made tangible here. The slow rhythm of making supports the temporal openness he sees as essential to resonance. Participatory processes resist the acceleration and efficiency often demanded by institutional timelines, instead fostering patience and care, conditions that allow relationships to deepen. Spectators are not left out of this dynamic. Drawing on Rachel's notion of the emancipated spectator, we see the interpretation, observation, and emotional resonance are themselves forms of participation. When audiences encounter participatory artworks, especially those rich in narrative and material presence, they're invited into a resonant space where meaning is so co-created in a space of conversations with others. In both Data Mirror and Things Matter, participants reported strong feelings of community, co-agency, and emotional engagement. These experiences point to the museum's role not only as a platform for participation, but as a relational ecosystem supporting cultural authorship and mutual responsiveness. In the context of neoliberal cultural, cultural politics, museums face growing pressure to perform as attractions and delivering social KPIs. Insights from collaborative art projects suggest a potential direction forward that positions the museum as a facilitator of shared inquiry and collective share in creativity. The project suggests that museums can foster participatory sense-making, where meaning emerges relationally through interactions with others and with materials. This is my time. Participants in both projects reported high levels of creativity, reflection, and engagement, demonstrating that collaborative art can also be transformative in subtle personal ways. While these initiatives may not produce immediate structural change, they enable a form of cultural participation that resists passive consumption and invites deeper involvement. Museums can act as an arena of capability building, where citizens feel that they can participate with their own active agency and that their personal contributions are acknowledged and appreciated as essential qualities in an artwork that creates insight, debate, and new thoughts to spectators. This calls for museums to move beyond binary roles of artist, spectator, or contributor artist towards more fluid, formative understandings of participation, spectatorship, and authorship. In conclusion, collaborative art in museums, when thoughtfully supported and critically framed, can foster participatory sense-making and resonant engagement among both contributors and spectators. In doing so, it offers a response to the challenges of neoliberal cultural politics, cultivating a public sphere where creativity, dialogue, care, and co-authorship can take place. This shift proposes a reimagining of the museum's role, not only as a blockbuster attraction with social KPIs, which is necessary to our funders, but also as hopeful capability building sites of participatory sense-making and resonance.